She texted, "I donated all your suits to Goodwill. You work from home now, you don't need them." I had a major in-person job interview that week. I replied, "Thoughtful of you." Then I went to the interview in my last remaining suit, got hired as senior director, and used my first paycheck to move into my own place. When she asked why my things were gone, original post, I, 35 male, have worked in supply chain management for 11 years. Started at the bottom, warehouse coordinator, making $38,000, and worked my way up to operations manager at a logistics company where I've been for the last 6 years, making $92,000. Not flashy money, but solid. Comfortable. The kind of income where you can afford a decent life, but you're not buying a boat. In March of last year, my company went through a restructuring. My entire department got shifted to remote work. Not optional, mandatory. They closed our floor of the office, reconfigured the space, and told all of us to set up home offices. I didn't love it. I'm someone who prefers being in an environment, around people, with a separation between work and home. But I adapted, bought a desk, got a second monitor, set up a decent workspace in the spare bedroom of the apartment I share with my girlfriend. My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years. We've lived together for 2 of those in a 2-bedroom apartment. Leases in both our names. Rent is $1,650. We split it. I pay $900. She pays $750 because I make more, and we agreed that was fair when we moved in. She works as an office manager for a dental practice. Makes about $48,000. She's good at her job. Organized, efficient, firm with the staff. Those same qualities at home, however, translate into something less professional. She has a habit of making decisions about shared spaces and increasingly about MY things without asking. It started small. She rearranged the kitchen cabinets and moved all my protein powder and supplements to a bottom shelf because they were cluttering the eye line. She reorganized the hall closet and put 3 of my jackets in a vacuum bag in storage because nobody needs this many outerwear options. She threw away a pair of my running shoes that she decided were too worn without asking if I still used them. I did. They were my favorite pair. Every time I pushed back, the response was some version of, "I'm just trying to keep this place organized. You should be thanking me." Like she was doing me a favor by curating my possessions without my consent. I tolerated it because, and I'm going to be honest here, I'm conflict-averse by nature. I pick my battles. Protein powder on a bottom shelf isn't worth a fight. Running shoes are replaceable. I filed each incident away and told myself it wasn't a pattern. It was a pattern. Now, the suits. I owned 5 suits. 3 for regular professional use, 1 for formal events, and 1 that my mom bought me when I got my first management promotion. That last one had sentimental value, but all 5 were functional parts of my professional wardrobe. I'd spent roughly $2,800 total across all 5 over the years. Brooks Brothers, Josse Bank, 1 Hugo Boss I got on sale at Nordstrom Rack. They weren't custom. They were a working professional's wardrobe. When I went remote, the suits went to the back of the closet. Obviously, I wasn't wearing a suit to sit at a desk in my spare bedroom. But I kept them because I'm a working professional who might need suits again. This isn't complicated logic. 3 weeks ago, a Tuesday, I came home from getting groceries and noticed the closet looked different. Emptier. Specifically, the section where my suits hung was bare. 5 hangers, all empty. I checked the floor, checked the storage bins, checked the spare room. Nothing. I texted my girlfriend, who was at work, "Hey, do you know where my suits are?" Her response, verbatim, I donated them to Goodwill this morning. You work from home now, you don't need them. I needed the closet space for my spring clothes. You're welcome. Smiling face with smiling eyes. She donated 5 suits, $2,800 worth of professional clothing, including 1 for my mother, to Goodwill, while I was buying groceries. And she added a smiley face. Now here's the part that makes this go from infuriating to catastrophic. I had a job interview that Thursday. An in-person interview. For a senior director of supply chain operations position at a major manufacturing company. This was not a casual coffee chat. This was a final round, meet the C-suite, Boardroom interview for a role paying $141,000 base with a $15,000 signing bonus. I'd been through 3 rounds of phone and video interviews over the previous month. This was the last step, and I needed a suit. I hadn't told my girlfriend about the interview. Not because I was hiding it, because I don't count chickens. I'm superstitious about job stuff. I don't talk about opportunities until they're real. It's a personal thing. She didn't know about the interview, which means she didn't factor it in when she donated my wardrobe. But that doesn't excuse anything, because even without the interview, donating someone else's clothing without asking is insane behavior. I stare at that text for about 2 minutes. Then I type back, "Thoughtful of you." That's it. 3 words. No argument. No exclamation points. No anger. Just a response designed to end the conversation without tipping my hand. Then I panicked. Quietly. Internally. Because I had a boardroom interview in 48 hours and 0 suits. I call my older brother. He's about my build. Close enough. He had a navy suit he wasn't using and offered it immediately. I drove to his place Tuesday night, tried it on, and it fit well enough. Not perfect, slightly tight in the shoulders, but presentable. He also lent me a solid tie and a pair of cufflinks. I got it dry cleaned Wednesday morning with same-day service. $18.50. The most important $18.50 I've ever spent. Thursday morning, I put on my brother's suit, drove to the interview, and sat in a boardroom across from the CEO, the COO, and the VP of operations for 90 minutes. I was prepared. I was sharp. The suit was slightly tight, but nobody noticed or cared. We talked about supply chain optimization, vendor relationships, KPI structures, and team leadership. I answered every question cleanly. I asked smart questions back. By the end of it, the COO shook my hand and said, "We'll be in touch very soon." I drove home, changed out of the suit, hung it up carefully, and waited. Friday afternoon, I got the call. I got the job. Senior director. $141,000 base. $15,000 signing bonus. Full benefits for 01k match, the works. Start date in 4 weeks. I sat in my car in the parking lot of a Walgreens because that's where I was when the call came in. I said, "Thank you," about 6 times, confirmed the details, and hung up. Then I sat there for 5 minutes doing nothing. Just breathing. I didn't tell my girlfriend. Not that night. Not that weekend. I smiled, made dinner, watched TV with her, and kept my mouth shut. Because I was planning. Update 1. 8 days later. I got some questions after my first post about why I didn't confront her about the suits immediately. Fair question. Here's the answer. Because confronting her would have given her a chance to apologize, minimize, and reset the dynamic without anything actually changing. I've been through that cycle with her before. She does something unilateral. I push back. She says, "I was just trying to help." We argue for a day, and then it's over until the next time she decides. To manage my life without my input. I was done with the cycle. I wanted off the ride entirely. And to do that, I needed a plan, not a fight. So let me walk you through the 2 weeks between getting the job offer and what happened next. Week 1, I signed the offer letter. I set my start date. I gave notice of my current job. My boss was disappointed, but supportive. I started quietly researching apartments. Nothing fancy. I found a 1-bedroom about 15 minutes from the new office. $1,375 a month. Within budget with the new salary. Available on the 1st of next month. I paid the deposit and first month's rent using money from my savings. $2,750 out the door. I signed a lease on a Wednesday afternoon while my girlfriend was at work. I didn't use any shared funds. Every dollar, not the big stuff. She'd notice if the couch disappeared. It's tax records, birth certificate, passport.